I really just ran on one principle. And that principle was just to get this in front of as many people as possible.
Richie, thank you so much for making time to be on the show today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here and to chat to you, Lauren. It's always nice to see your face and to hear your voice.
Can you share with us a little bit about how you went from, working in a consulting job, working in a corporate career, to being in London teaching people to breathe?
Sure. Well, how breath work or teaching people how to breathe came into my world was purely by accident. Well, or fate, whichever way you want to look at it, I guess. So my dad, years and years ago, was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. And so it's an autoimmune disease, and like basically all autoimmune diseases, there's no magic pill that you can take and it just disappears. It's not like you take a course of antibiotics and then you're healed. It's something that most people have to deal with for a lifetime. And so I was always on the lookout for ways to be able to help Dad, whether it's lifestyle changes, alternative therapies or treatments, or diet, any of these things. And it was through my research that I came across this guy called Wim Hof, and he's known as the Iceman. If you don't know who Wim Hof is, he's called the Iceman because he holds 20-something world records, all related to cold exposure. And he developed this method that is really great for everyone's health and well-being. It involves cold exposure. It can be as simple as just taking a cold shower every day, but then also breathing techniques that you would do daily too. And the reason why it caught my attention was he was talking about how it's great for everybody, but specifically it seems to be really good for people who have autoimmune problems. So I ended up actually traveling to Poland and going to this tiny little Polish village in the middle of winter where you could do these week-long trainings in the Wim Hof method. And so we're doing all the crazy stuff that Wim does, hiking in the snow, barefoot in your shorts, minus 3 degrees outside, swimming in the ice lakes. And, we nearly summited, we climbed the tallest mountain in Poland, just wearing shorts and boots and nothing else. It was minus 19 degrees at the top, But to cut a long story short, I ended up coming back home and sharing this work with Dad. He saw the photos, told them all the stories, and he was like, wow, this is interesting. And he ended up taking on the method, doing his breathing every day, cold showers every day. And he changed his diet as well, which is very important for autoimmune issues. And the progress of his MS just completely stopped in its tracks. And that along with my own personal experiences with breathwork in Poland and then doing it myself afterwards, really just spurred this desire to learn more about the breath and what else was possible with breathing. Because I didn't know that what I experienced in Poland was possible. I'm like, is there more to this? So I ended up Googling breathwork and found out that there's all these people all over the world who are doing different things with the breath. And I went, okay, this is what I want to learn. Like, I want to see what this is about. Mm-hmm. So it allowed me then, very luckily, to travel for about 3.5 years, just going all over and meeting all sorts of different people and learning about breathwork. So meeting breathwork masters, yogis, doctors, psychologists, therapists, researchers, physiotherapists, athletic coaches, all sorts of different people who were just doing something specific with the breath. And, I was very fortunate that, I was able to have that flexibility in time and also in location to be able to move around. And it was during that time that I also started to see clients. And although, this app was my main source of income, I could start to see people on the side, and get practice, because breathwork, to become, like anything, right? You need experience, you need time, you need hands-on bodies to practice this work. And so it was during that time that I was able to really, fine-tune my craft.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, how you crafted those initial steps of transforming this into a career that you felt would sustain you going forward, that would enable you to take this to more people? how do you make money from doing this thing that you're so passionate about?
I think the best way to explain this is that I wasn't necessarily very strategic about all of this. I really just ran on one principle. And that principle was just to get this in front of as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because the work speaks for itself. That was it. It's just like, and how can I get people to have this experience? So at any opportunity that I would be breathing people. And the great thing about breath work, and perhaps this is where it has its slight kind of, advantage almost, is it has, I guess, what I would call as the water cooler effect, in that it's so profound and it's so simple, which quite often does, for a lot of people, doesn't like correlate. We're very good as human beings and being like, if something is profound, then it must be super complex and really thought out and stuff. But then people have these experiences of, I just laid there and did breathe in a certain way for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, I met God or something, And so it has this effect of, I just can't believe that just happened. And therefore people talk about it. So people go to work the next day and they go to their colleagues and be like, you won't believe what I did on the weekend. I went to this weird guy's house and we did breathing for an hour, and I just had one of the most profound experiences of my life. And then the person goes, what are you talking about? That's stupid. That's insane. And they go, no, seriously, you have to try it. So it has that kind of word of mouth effect.
I mean, what I love doing, Richie, is hearing somebody like you talk about almost accidental success, but also listening to that, kind of unpack for our listeners. What I'm hearing is something that they can, replicate if they are trying to expand and be an expert in their field. And so the thing that I'm hearing from you, firstly, from just the initial stages of your journey, was really paying attention to crafting your expert knowledge and investing that time and care and energy into becoming good at what you do. And that's the first point, because, when you're good at what you do and people have a great experience with you, they will tell people about it. The second thing for me there was, you mentioned creating this format for a class in which you could take a group of people through it. And whilst that may have been accidental for you, I often talk to clients about the importance of crafting almost a signature process for yourself, something that you become known for, something that becomes an experience that people can associate with you, where you sort of plug your toolkit in a way that has a unique then methodology or process behind it. The other thing is, you've become known as the breath guy, and there's a story around that. There's a quite a big statement in that. Again, whether accidental or not, you've positioned yourself with this personal brand. It says what it does on the tin, but some of those pieces of the puzzle for our listeners will be critical for them to observe as a way of kind of this accidental success, I think, if you talk about it, but also just that proliferation, getting yourself out there, not being afraid to do the sessions for free, to show up and just give what it is that you give to people as much as possible to build that momentum and reputation.
And, do you want me to tell you how the breath guy name came about? Because I didn't make it up. Again, accidental. It was quite funny, again, listening to your previous podcast and being like, man, like, I wonder how many times I can say like it just happened, like, in different ways, because so much of my story is just like that, I'm telling you. But the breath guy, it happened because I started breathing people, then people started talking to people, and they started introducing me and getting referrals and that kind of thing. And the way that they would always refer to me was, this is that breath guy, or this is the breathing guy that I was telling you about. And just over and over again, the breath guy, the breathing guy. Oh, this guy's the breathing coach. And so it just happened over and over again. And I was like, maybe there's something in this. Like, maybe I should just be the breath guy. Like, and I would, before that, I had a business name. It was Exhale Breathwork. And ironically now, Exhale is the name of my upcoming book. But the breath guy. And I just went, you know what? Like, people keep referring to me as the breath guy. No one says this is the founder of Exhale Breathwork. They always say this is the breath guy. So I went, well, all right,
why fight
rebrand,
against
change,
it?
yeah, change the Instagram name, and boom, I guess now I'm the breath guy, and it's really certainly stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, that all makes perfect sense. When you talk about kind of listening to your audience, I often say to clients wanting to build an expert brand, that it's so important to not go into business thinking, right, I'm going to create a product and then find someone to sell it to. That it's the other way around. It's about listening to what the people want, as you said, in your words, kind of what do the people want? And what's the real pain point here? What's the problem that needs to be solved? And then crafting a solution for that person and that problem. And then everything flows really, really naturally.
It's interesting though, because I completely agree with you. And, back when I was, in the kind of tech startup world and even in consulting where I was working in what was called an innovation hub where we're doing a lot of building products, it's always about what's the problem that we're solving, right? Whereas I guess my story with breathwork is more like I felt like I had a little secret that I wanted to tell everybody. It was a little bit different because, the breathwork can be applied in so many different ways. So it wasn't necessarily that I was going for a specific problem issue. I just went like, guys, like I have something I need to tell you, and I'm really, really, really excited to tell you about it. And, I think people feel that energy as well, where it just comes from a place of almost like, like pure joy in a way of like, what my absolute favorite thing to do is to give people breathwork sessions who have never done it before, because I'm just like, here we go. Like, I am now going to witness like you have this whole new experience that could potentially change your life, or at least get you to see things in a slightly different way. And I get to do that every single day, multiple times a day, sometimes with hundreds or even thousands of people in one day. And I just, that's what gets me so excited, and it's deeply humbling and very, I feel very honored to be, in that position.
What is one thing that you wish you knew when you started your business journey?
That it's safe to be me.
Love it.
Took me a while to learn that.
Why do you do what you do?
Because I believe that I want to contribute to a better future for all.
What's the best part about your job day to day?
I mean, apart from I just get to breathe people. It's the reactions after breath sessions. When I get to see how people feel afterwards. Yeah, that's the best part.
What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Goal. My dad keeps telling me to do my tax return. He's like, have you done it yet? He's like, get it done early. Do it early. I'm like, that's not due forever. Why do I need to worry about it now? My he's very logical, right? He's like, make sure you keep your receipts. And this is
that's good advice. Do your tax.
Good advice.
Pay your tax.
No, let me give you something else.
Maybe I should have said life advice rather than business advice. Don't put it too much into business.
No, but maybe even just that thing that I alluded to before around, you just never know where the opportunities are going to come from. So just put yourself out there and be open to receive.
Love it. Thank you so much, Richie, for making the time to share your work with us and your journey. It's been incredibly inspiring, and I can't wait to read your book.
Hey, pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to have these kinds of conversations. I don't get to speak about them that often. So thank you so much for having me on.